Just not getting it.
Ben?
Well, to be candid, it's pretty simple. 1950s.
Madman era, huh?
Yep. Being a normal white guy who wants to network and basically attain a lot of wealth, that's the time to do so. So, yeah, 1950s.
Yeah, if you're a white guy in America, that's about right.
Yeah.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just leave it at that. Very simple. Just
1950s America.
1950s America.
Are you a jet or a shark?
I'm both.
I just like that time frame for the fact that I could sit down and have a martini with lunch and nobody's going to stare at me.
Yeah. I know.
You can smoke a cigarette.
You're right.
Yeah.
You can smoke and have a martini.
Sideways. Yeah,
You could do that in the 60s, the 70s, and even up to the 80s.
Yeah.
And still write it off.
There you go. And still
I'd
right
also
up.
be okay with the Woodstock era.
Okay.
Summer of Love.
All right.
For sure.
Into the 60s. All right.
Yeah.
But again, it's all
Yeah, that
it's all-
appealed
it's
to
all
the
a
nudist
white
side
guy's
of me.
time.
Sex, drugs,
Oh,
rock
did I
and
say
roll.
that?
Yeah. I would love to see Jimi Hendrix
Yep.
just lose it on stage.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Carlos Santana.
Hey, you know who's been really quiet is Chris O'Connor.
Yeah. Actually, I actually have one that I would like to go to before I get to Chris O'Connor because he is actually our true history buff on the boat.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it's actually going back to and being an adult around the time that I was born, because for me, everybody, it is not a secret that I'm a huge hip hop fan, and in 1973, hip hop and I were born at the same time. So I would love to go back to that era and be a part of like the jams that they used to have in the parks in New York when it was really in its infancy, and watch
Underground.
this culture
Emerge.
being born. And because like I say, I'm a huge fan of it, and kind of a historian of the culture, but to have been there, during those times would have been pretty cool to me. Chris O'Connor.
So I'll start off by saying I would not want to live at any other time than right now. I love it right now, and I think the things that we look back at as historical transgressions and horrible things, if you think about how much this country's grown in terms of just tolerance and technological advancement and life expectancy and all those other things, I wouldn't want to live at any other time other than right now. I think it's great. But I also think the best and worst 20 years in this country happened at the exact same time, and that'd be 1910 to 1930.
Yeah.
And it would have been, think of all the things that you would have seen. You would have seen your first airplane, you'd have seen your first car,
Yeah.
you'd have seen all these amazing things, and then you would have experienced the absolute horrific slaughter of World War I, which was nothing but slaughter was all it was.
It was a slaughter.
And then you would have maybe hopefully lived through the jazz age, the golden era of the jazz age, and then you just set yourself up for the Great Depression. So it's the most mixed bag of 20 years ever in the history of this country.
And you have the largest economic boom because you had those roaring 20s where...
That's exactly what I'm saying. And you just literally just set yourself up for the Great Depression. So you would have had 10 great years and then
Bam.
But think about it too. You also had the suffragette movement. You had the beginning of a really, truly organized civil rights movement in this country. You had the beginning of everything.
Prohibition.
And Harlem, New York.
Which brought on organized crime.
It would have been fun. I don't know.
It did. Prohibition brought on organized crime.
Yeah.
Why?
I remember organized crime existed before, but it was...
Hey, I resemble that remark.
Last person to answer.
Yeah. Actually, today he won't be because we haven't heard anything from Carolyn today.
Oh God.
Carolyn, speak
I
up.
will
honey.
speak loud. There's two eras actually. You kind of touched on it first. I think like the sort of 70s in New York City, you had to the 80s. I think that 10 years
The
was sort of
beginning of
hip hop,
yeah.
beginning of punk rock.
Yeah, forget about
CBGB.
Just
Yeah.
all sorts of and just even maybe earlier into the like mid 60s, you had sort of the whole Warholian era.
Yeah.
A lot of great stuff going on.
Hey, puppy.
Oh my God.
It's a wolf dog. Hi, puppy.
But I said we are really floating on the water right now out there in podcast land, and
Beautiful husky.
and on the shore there is a gorgeous husky just watching us have a podcast right now.
He wants to come on board. He's
Don't
whining.
jump in.
He's like, yeah, I see my master over there, but that's all right.
He's a good American dog.
There you go.
What would have been the other time?
Sorry.
I think it would have been interesting to grow up during the Nixon era, Woodward and Bernstein, and sort of seeing that change in American opinion as it relates to politics and how much we can trust our leaders and how much more vigilant you have to be
What happened to
when you're
Kent
vetting
State?
people.
Coming from the journalists on our boat, that makes good sense. Okay.
I think a lot of really great.
Do you think that was the pinnacle of cynicism, or do you think it started before that? Because I think a lot of it started maybe in Vietnam, and then that was the pinnacle, the height of the cynicism.
You're probably right
It's
about it.
it's interesting.
But I think definitely before those eras, it seemed a little bit more. I don't want to say blind. I don't think I want to give people more credit than that. But you didn't think so much to question your president so much, and I think that
We do now.
Yeah.
we certainly do that.
I think we always have. I mean, it's one of the biggest myths in American history that people thought most Americans didn't know FDR had polio. Everybody knew he had polio. I mean, it was common knowledge. They just didn't film it because they didn't want other countries seeing us as we had a weak president. But every American knew he had polio. That's one of the
But they
biggest myths in
respected it.
American
They
history.
respected
He
it,
overcame
though.
an obstacle, you know. So when he stood up and gave his speech, it was a pretty triumphant moment, you know. Not that I agreed with necessarily all of his politics, but
Well, he had 3 or 4 channels, so we had to watch it.
well, there was you'd been watching newsreels at that point. So
That's the truth.
But you know, it is funny how history gets distorted and reinvents itself over time. The notion of founding fathers. Well, actually, there's a bunch of guys who hated each other. They couldn't stand each other.
Yeah.
The country was born out of compromise. I mean, that's the best part.
Jefferson and
Jefferson
Adams
is
wanted
awesome. Jefferson's great, but you know,
Adams and Jefferson wanted to kill each other.
hated him.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Hamilton.
Hamilton, honestly, is my favorite guy who started this country. Believed in a national system, had the first bank, got us out of debt. You know, just really, truly, honestly,
And
set us
Thomas
up as a
Jefferson
country.
tore all that up.
Yeah, and said the Constitution should be remade every 20 years. I'm like, you're an idiot. But, I mean, he did some good things too. I'm not throwing out everything that he did, trust me. But, man, like, if you think about them all as a group, because I love, like, if you listen, like, a Fox News, like, the Founding Fathers said this and this, I'm like, no, they were a bunch of guys who hated each other, who just literally got together and formed, through compromise, a good system of government.
See,
No, hold on.
We can learn a little bit from that
hold on,
now,
guys,
huh?
guys. I think what forged that compromise was an aversion to taxes and a foreign king.
Literally, there was a 1 cent tax that started a war.
Yeah.
A 1 cent tax.
A
on
1
tea.
cent tax.
That was all we were paying. I mean, it's amazing. If you look at it today,
Well,
in any other
in
country, that
2016
would have
dollars,
just been terrorism.
That was a $12 tax, but still.
But still,
if you were British,
why I love
clearly that you would have been
Chris O'Connor.
Americans or terrorists.
I love
Yeah,
Chris
we
O'Connor.
are terrorists.
I mean, imagine Puerto Rico trying to leave or something else. We would just consider them terrorists at this point. You know, it's interesting when it's just always history is made by the winner. That is maybe the
But
greatest
no, I
statement.
mean, but do you think people were still cynical towards about their leaders?
Absolutely.
prior
In fact, if
to
you go
Nixon
back and
prior
read,
to Vietnam
horrifically
War?
so. In fact,
Okay.
the term objective journalism didn't even come around until 1900. Prior to that, it was literally every paper was objective. For example, the Kansas City Star was hyper-Republican up until the end of World War I. Hyper-Republican.
Which, by the way, Republicans prior to Roosevelt were considered the liberal party.
Which is interesting.
Which is
because TR was actually very progressive. If you read most of the New Deal, actually a lot of it was Theodore Roosevelt's ideas.
Oh, he busted.
You know,
He busted the big business.
But he also believed in a social safety net. He believed in health care. You know, he believed in all kinds of things that FDR adopted.
yeah, Johnson, I think it was probably the very reason for the parties flipping the way that they did. I mean, the Dixiecrats just did not want to back any of the social changes that he was trying to put in place. And, you know, and he said when he did it, we're going to lose the South for several generations.
He said, I lost the South for 60 years once he signed the Civil Rights Bill.
Yeah, and he knew he had, but he, once again, gets back to there are people, whether it's for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, they knew right and wrong.
Right.
And were willing to do what was right despite opinions, despite friends, despite whatever, and that has shaped the nation that we all live in and love today. And and that's, I'm never one of those people that, I love being an American, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be anything else. There are times that I think about, living in France or living in Amsterdam or someplace would be really cool, but
It's just really cool.
yeah,
That's it.
but I like being in America.
I don't know.
I
I
do
think
too.
they did a lot of great things.
anybody else notice-
the French writings and the that kind of stuff that prompted the American Revolution. I mean, the idea of the French liberty was really the dawning of this country. The fact that they blockaded the harbors. I mean, we are a country because they blockaded the harbors.
French were
Let's be honest about
yes.
it. It's incredible.
Anybody else notice how this podcast intertwines history, politics, pop culture together, and everyone here is from a very different background, and the discourse is civil, which you can't say that about public or politicians.
And
That's the beauty of our podcast.
And thus is why I love the Loft Party Podcast, because we are a group of people that if somebody just looked at us would wouldn't even think we'd all be friends, let alone like actually all converging on one of our friends' homes and going out and riding a boat together and doing a podcast together. We are the gumbo that is America, and
I like that gumbo.
And we like gumbo.
and we do like gumbo.
Chomp, chomp.
Let's go eat some gumbo.
Did I miss anybody?
No.
Anybody else?
We're good.
By say being the senior person on the boat, do you have any last words on the topic, Dave?
Well, I love the subject matter. I thought everybody brought up great points, and Chris, I think you hit on it more than anything. I said today, it's been incredible. I'm 68 years old, guys. When I was growing up, we still made phone calls by cranking a phone, and you get an operator, and you tell her who you wanted to.
You old fogey.
To today, we're look, we're not very far from when we'll be doing this. Hello.
Yeah.
Touch her somewhere here.
Touch your ear or something.
And to watch the way technology has expanded in our life structure. Look, everybody, I think I'm going to live to be 138 because of the way things are. And
God willing.
God help me.
And the fact that I basically have a basic belief, and of course it's taken years to get to there, but we all bleed red. Mm-hmm. So we're all the same. And I like the fact that we can all get together and be together on a day like today and have this conversation. But that's, I think you just take everything that we kind of put, and there's all those good things that have happened, and where are we headed to? More great things. And if we all believe our politicians are going to do it, then we're crazy. We're going to do it.
Bingo.
And
We the people.
We the people will do it.
We are the people.
It's just made a strong population, a strong group of people, and there are still a lot of idiots that just believe everything that some politician says. And did I say idiots loud enough? But
They're still a minority, though.
God bless.
as long as we pay them lifelong pensions,
They'll always get
yeah, let's not get into politics.
But they are a minority.
Yeah.
We are still we the people, and we are the majority.
There you
And
go.
we are all of
People
us.
remember that.
Yep.
And
That's
I don't think we're in danger of truly in danger of losing that in this country. I think we've got people that you feel one way or the other about that are running to run our nation for the next few years. But I think, as Chris has kind of reminded me on multiple occasions, in the grand scheme of time, it's just he or she is just another idiot, and they will be gone just as fast as they came.
It's the system, and it's not the people.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, the system. You got to put your faith in the system.
There we go. I think on that, I think we have. I think that's the right place to end it. So, for today's
Way anchor.
I think for today's Rio's Corner, I normally would do a quote or something ultra profound, but I think the best quote for today, for the topic, and since the fact that it is the 4th of July, I'm going to start with.
That was a bald eagle, by the way.
Wow. I'm gonna start with my toast, and I'm gonna end with my quote. So everybody, glasses up, and of course the quote is the quote that started it all. To good times with good people, and the quote is, "God bless America."
God bless America. And we had a bald eagle fly over the boat while you were putting that together. That's right.